The Sesko problem. Why Gary Neville's concerns should worry every United fan. Welcome to Unite United News, where we tell you the truth. Hello and welcome back to Unite United News, the place where Manchester United fans come when they want honest analysis instead of sugar-coated nonsense. We do not pretend everything is perfect when it is not. We do not make excuses for poor performances. We tell you the truth about your football club, even when that truth is uncomfortable. That is our promise to you. That is why you can trust us. So thank you for being here, because today we need to have a difficult conversation about a player who is becoming a serious concern. The draw that felt like a loss. Let us start with what happened at the City Ground on Saturday. Manchester United traveled to Nottingham Forest looking to make it 4 wins in a row. The team was in good form. Confidence was high. Everything seemed to be moving in the right direction under Ruben Amorim. And for 34 minutes, things went according to plan. Casemiro scored with a powerful header from a corner to give United the lead. The traveling fans were celebrating. It looked like another 3 points were on the way. But then everything changed. Just after halftime, Morgan Gibbs-White produced a wonderful header to equalize for Forest. Fair enough. These things happen in football. You go 1-0 up, the opposition fights back, you need to respond. But United did not respond. Instead, they collapsed. 2 minutes after Gibbs-White scored, Nottingham Forest took the lead through Nicolo Savona. Suddenly United were losing. Suddenly the 3 points they expected were slipping away. Suddenly all that good form and confidence meant nothing. To their credit, United did not give up completely. Amad Diallo scored a brilliant volley 9 minutes from time to salvage a point. The 2-2 draw meant United avoided defeat, but it felt like a loss. It felt like 2 points dropped rather than 1 point gained. It felt like a missed opportunity. But the result is not what we need to talk about today. The real story from this match is about a player who once again failed to make an impact. A player who is supposed to be one of United's attacking stars. A player who costs £74 million but is looking more like a £7 million mistake with every passing week. That player is Benjamin Sesko. And Gary Neville has serious concerns about him. What Neville actually said. Gary Neville is not just any pundit offering opinions about Manchester United. He is a club legend. He spent his entire career at Old Trafford. He won everything there is to win. He knows what it takes to succeed at this level. So when Neville expresses concerns about a United player, people listen. After watching Sesko's performance against Forest, Neville was asked to analyze what he saw. His response was damning. Not in a cruel way, but in an honest way that should worry every United fan. I am no further forward with him, Neville said. The jury is out. Think about what that means. Sesko has been at Manchester United for several months now. He has played multiple matches. He has had opportunities to show what he can do. And after all that time, Gary Neville, someone who watches football for a living and understands the game better than almost anyone, still cannot figure out if Sesko is good enough. That is a problem. A big problem. Neville continued. He is well off it compared to the other summer signings that Man United made up front in Cunha and Mbeumo. This is perhaps the most damaging part of Neville's assessment. Because it is true. Cunha and Mbeumo have both been excellent since joining United. They have scored goals. They have created chances. They have looked like quality players who belong at this level. Meanwhile, Sesko has looked lost. Neville then got more specific about what he saw against Forest. He looks awkward. He had a couple of really good opportunities in the first half when balls got played over the top and his touch was not quite right. Awkward. That one word captures everything about Sesko's struggles. He does not look comfortable. He does not look natural. He does not look like a player who is confident in his abilities or his place in the team. Finally, Neville acknowledged what everyone is thinking. For £80 million, the figure was actually £74 million, but close enough. You can say he is young, has a lot of potential, and is only just settling in, but you still want to see a bit more. And there is the heart of the issue. Yes, Sesko is young. Yes, he has potential. Yes, he is still settling in. But at some point, those excuses stop being acceptable. At some point, you need to start delivering. And right now, Sesko is not delivering anywhere close to what United need from a £74 million striker. The numbers tell a worrying story. Let us look at the facts because numbers do not lie. Against Nottingham Forest, Sesko went a fifth consecutive game without scoring. 5 games in a row without finding the back of the net. For a striker, that is a crisis. Since joining Manchester United in the summer, Sesko has scored just 2 goals. 2. For a £74 million forward who was supposed to solve United's goal-scoring problems, that is nowhere near good enough. Compare that to Bryan Mbeumo, who already has 4 league goals despite joining at the same time. Compare it to Matheus Cunha, who opened his United account immediately and looks dangerous every time he touches the ball. The contrast is stark and embarrassing. But it is not just about goals. Strikers can contribute in other ways. They can create chances for teammates. They can hold up play. They can bring others into the game. They can work hard defensively. Has Sesko been doing any of these things consistently? No. Against Forest, Sesko had opportunities. Balls were played over the top for him to chase. Chances were created for him to finish. And what happened? His touch let him down. His positioning was wrong. His decision-making was poor. He looked, as Neville said, awkward. This is not a one-off bad performance. This is a pattern. Week after week, Sesko gets opportunities and fails to capitalize on them. Week after week, he looks like a player who is not quite ready for this level. Week after week, United fans are left wondering why the club spent so much money on him. Why this is so concerning. You might be thinking, okay, so Sesko is struggling. Players struggle sometimes. Why is this such a big deal? Why should United fans be worried? Let us break down exactly why this situation is so concerning. First, there is the financial aspect. £74 million is an enormous amount of money. That fee makes Sesko one of the most expensive strikers Manchester United have ever signed. When you pay that kind of money for a player, you expect immediate impact. You expect quality. You expect someone who can walk into your team and improve it. Sesko has not done that. Not even close. Which means United have wasted £74 million on a player who, at best, might develop into something good in a few years. At worst, they have bought an expensive mistake who will never justify his price tag. Second, there is the opportunity cost. That £74 million could have been spent on other players. Better players. Players who could have made an immediate difference. Instead, United are stuck with Sesko, hoping he eventually comes good while watching other strikers at other clubs score goals every week. Third, there is the fact that United needed Sesko to be good. The team's attacking options are limited, especially with Bryan Mbeumo potentially missing up to 6 games for international duty. United cannot afford to have an expensive striker who does not contribute. They need goals from multiple sources. They need forwards who can be relied upon. Sesko is not providing that reliability. Fourth, and perhaps most importantly, there are no signs of improvement. If Sesko was playing poorly but showing glimpses of his potential, that would be one thing. If he was making mistakes but learning from them, you could accept it. But he looks the same now as he did when he first arrived. Awkward, uncomfortable, not quite good enough. That lack of progress is what should really worry United fans. Because if a player is not improving after several months at the club, if they are not adapting to the league and the system, then what hope is there that they ever will? The comparison that hurts. Gary Neville made a point of comparing Sesko to Cunha and Mbeumo. This comparison is brutal for Sesko because it highlights just how far behind he is. Cunha came from Wolves and hit the ground running. He scored on his debut. He has looked comfortable from day one. He fits Amorim's system perfectly. He combines well with his teammates. He creates chances. He works hard. He looks like exactly what United needed. Mbeumo arrived from Brentford and has been equally impressive. For league goals already, 2 goals in 1 match against Brighton. Pace, power, intelligence, clinical finishing. He has everything. He looks like a £65 million player. He looks like he belongs at this level. Then there is Sesko, struggling for form, struggling for confidence, looking lost on the pitch, going 5 games without scoring, looking awkward and uncomfortable. It is night and day. The painful truth is that United got 2 of their 3 attacking signings absolutely right. Cunha and Bumo have been success stories, but they got Sesko wrong. Very wrong. And that mistake is becoming more obvious with every passing week. Some might argue that strikers take longer to adapt than wingers or attacking midfielders. That might be true. But Sesko is not just adapting slowly. He is not adapting at all. He looks as lost now as he did on day one. What Amorim is saying. After the Forest match, Ruben Amorim spoke to the media about his team's performance. Interestingly, he barely mentioned Sesko. He talked about the game as a whole. He discussed losing control for 5 minutes. He praised Amad Diallo. But about Sesko? Silence. That silence speaks volumes. If Amorim thought Sesko had played well, he would have said so. If he thought the young striker was progressing, he would have defended him. But he did not. The lack of comment suggests that even Amorim is running out of patience. Amorim did talk about Amad, the player who rescued United with that late equalizer. He said Amad has a lot of talent and is growing up really fast. He talked about Amad improving and having the potential to do better. These are the kind of comments you want to hear about your young players. Why is Amorim not saying similar things about Sesko? Why is there no mention of improvement or potential? The most likely answer is that Amorim is not seeing those things. He is seeing the same problems that everyone else is seeing. An awkward striker who is not quite good enough. This creates an awkward situation for Amorim. He is the manager. He needs to get the best out of his players. But what do you do with a £74 million striker who is not performing? You cannot just drop him completely because that would be admitting the signing was a mistake. But you also cannot keep playing him if he is hurting the team. Amorim is stuck between a rock and a hard place. And Sesko is not helping him find a solution. The pressure is building. Here is the reality. Sesko is a young player under enormous pressure. He costs £74 million. He plays for Manchester United. He is being compared to 2 other summer signings who are performing much better than him. Every week, the scrutiny intensifies. Every game without a goal adds to the burden. That kind of pressure can destroy young players, can crush their confidence, can make them overthink everything. Instead of playing with freedom and joy, they play with fear and anxiety. Every touch becomes loaded with importance. Every chance missed feels like a disaster. This might be what is happening to Sesko right now. The weight of expectation is too heavy. The comparison to Cunha and Bumo is too damaging. The criticism from pundits like Neville is too loud. And all of it is affecting his performances on the pitch. But here is the thing. Sympathy only goes so far. Yes, Sesko is young. Yes, the pressure is intense. But he is being paid enormous wages to play for Manchester United. He is a professional footballer at the highest level. At some point, he needs to handle the pressure and start delivering. Other young players manage it. Kabi Mainoo handles the pressure. Amad Diallo handles it. Alejandro Garnacho handled it last season. Why can Sesko not do the same? The answer might be that he simply is not good enough. Not everyone can perform at this level. Not every talented young player fulfills their potential. Sometimes clubs make mistakes in the transfer market. And sometimes those mistakes cost £74 million. What happens next? So where does Sesko go from here? What are his options? What can he do to turn this situation around? First, he needs to score. Sounds obvious, but it is true. Strikers are judged on goals. Until Sesko starts finding the net regularly, the criticism will continue. One goal would not fix everything, but it would be a start. It would give him confidence. It would quieten the doubters, at least temporarily. Second, he needs to work on the basics. His first touch needs to improve. His positioning needs to be better. His decision-making needs to be sharper. These are fundamental aspects of being a striker. If he can master them, everything else becomes easier. Third, he might benefit from being taken out of the spotlight temporarily. Maybe a few games on the bench would help. Maybe watching and learning rather than playing and struggling would be beneficial. Sometimes young players need that break from the pressure to reset mentally. Fourth, he needs support. From his manager, his teammates, and the fans. Destroying a young player's confidence completely does not help anyone. United needs Sesko to succeed because they have invested so much in him. That means giving him chances to find form rather than writing him off completely. But there is a limit to how much patience is reasonable. If Sesko is still struggling in January, United might need to consider loaning him out. Send him somewhere with less pressure where he can rebuild his confidence and develop his game. That would be admitting the signing has not worked out as planned, but it might be the best option for everyone involved. The alternative is continuing as things are. Sesko plays occasionally, struggles, gets criticized, loses confidence, and the cycle continues. That helps nobody. Not Sesko, not United, not Amorim. The bigger question about United's recruitment. The Sesko situation raises a bigger question about Manchester United's recruitment strategy. How did they get this signing so wrong? United supposedly have an entire team of scouts and analysts. They have data, statistics, and video analysis. They watch players for months before signing them. They do due diligence. They assess whether players fit the system and the club. So why did nobody spot that Sesko might struggle? Or did they spot it and sign him anyway? Did United ignore warning signs because they were desperate for a striker? Did they convince themselves that Sesko would adapt because they wanted him to adapt? These are questions that Ineos and the recruitment team need to answer. Because £74 million is too much money to waste on a player who is not ready for this level. That money could have been spent better. That money could have brought in a striker who would have made an immediate impact. The fact that Cunha and Bumo have both been successful suggests United's recruitment is not completely broken. They clearly can identify good players and sign them. But the Sesko mistake shows there are still problems in the system. Moving forward, United need to be more careful. They need to make sure that when they spend big money on a player, that player is ready to contribute immediately. No more punts on potential. No more hoping that struggling players will suddenly come good. Only sign players who are ready for this level. What United fans should think. So what should Manchester United fans make of all this? How should they feel about Benjamin Sesko? The truth is complicated. On one hand, Sesko is a young player who deserves some patience and support. Writing him off completely after a few months would be harsh. Players develop at different rates. Sometimes it takes time for things to click. On the other hand, the signs are not good. 5 games without scoring. Looking awkward and uncomfortable every time he plays. Gary Neville saying the jury is out. No visible signs of improvement. These are all red flags that cannot be ignored. The sensible position is probably somewhere in the middle. Give Sesko until the end of the season to prove himself. Keep giving him chances, but do not be afraid to drop him when he is not performing. If he has not turned things around by May, then accept the signing has not worked and make alternative plans. What United fans should not do is pretend everything is fine. Sesko is struggling. That is obvious to anyone watching. Making excuses for him does not help. Blaming everyone else for his poor performances does not help. Facing reality is important. The reality is that United spent £74 million on a striker who is not good enough right now. Maybe he will improve. Maybe he will prove everyone wrong. But as things stand, with the evidence we have seen so far, Sesko looks like an expensive mistake. And that should worry every Manchester United fan. Thank you for facing reality with us. Thank you for joining us at Unite United News for this honest assessment of the Benjamin Sesko situation. We know this was not easy to read. We know United fans want to believe in their expensive signing. We know nobody wants to admit that the club might have made a costly mistake. But this is what we do at Unite United News. We tell you the truth even when it hurts. We analyze honestly even when the conclusions are uncomfortable. We do not make excuses or spin narratives. We just give you the facts and help you understand what they mean. Gary Neville's concerns about Sesko should be taken seriously. When a club legend with decades of experience says the jury is out on a player, that matters. When he calls a player awkward and says he is well off the pace of other signings, that is significant. These are not the ramblings of a random person on social media. This is expert analysis from someone who knows Manchester United inside and out. And what he is seeing with Sesko is not good. We encourage you to bookmark Unite United News and make us your home for honest Manchester United analysis. We cover every match, every player, every decision with the same commitment to truth that you saw in this article. Whether the news is good or bad, whether the analysis is comfortable or uncomfortable, we will always give it to you straight. The Sesko story will continue to develop throughout the season. We will be here to follow every step. If he turns it around and starts scoring, we will celebrate that and analyze how he did it. If he continues to struggle, we will document that too and discuss what it means for his future at the club. Until then, keep supporting your team. Keep hoping that Sesko finds his form. But also keep your eyes open to reality. Do not make excuses for poor performances. Demand better from players who cost £74 million. Hold the club accountable for its recruitment decisions. That is what proper fans do. That is what intelligent supporters do. That is what we do here at Unite United News. Glory, glory, Man United.